A week ago today was the last day of VidCon 2019, which was also the 10th anniversary of VidCon, which was also my 4th VidCon, and I had a fantastic time. I came, I saw, I didn't exactly conquer. I learned a lot. I had a lot of good times, took a lot of fun pics. It was great. Where I was going with that non-existent metaphor is I had a fantastic time at VidCon. It was my favorite VidCon that I've ever been to. I have learned so much and I wanted to talk about it. So let's do that. Roll the intro. So at VidCon, they have different ways that you can attend the convention through different access passes. So they have community, creator, and industry. When I first started going to VidCon, which was either in 2013 or 2014, they didn't have more than two. It was just community and industry. But now they have the wonderful creator pass, and that's what I had. And creator gives you access to a whole bunch of cool stuff. You get the main expo hall, you get to go see the shows and the big stage interviews with the vlog squad and Phil Lester and all the people. Get to go to YouTube on stage, which I saw Megan Trainor this year, and that was really cool. And Megan Trainor was absolutely fantastic. But creator gets you access to all that stuff, as well as the creator levels of the conference hall and as well as the workshops you can go to. So there are a lot of workshops around the idea of building your channel or teaching you about lighting or sound or special effects, or I went to one about taxes. Super fascinating. It actually was really fascinating. I'm not being sarcastic. But creator is really for the creator. You're maybe not there for meet and greets. You're there to kind of experience the convention and learn, maybe network, maybe meet some new YouTube friends. That's what creator is for, and I've gone as a creator ever since they introduced it, and I love it because there's so much that I can gain from it as a content creator. This year they offered a program called the Creator Certification Program, which was super dope because they had 4 different categories of certification, which was audience development, career essentials, and production skills. I wrote it down. Yeah, I remembered it good. And this is something that they introduced this year, saying that if you completed 4 workshops within each category, you would be eligible to get the Creator Certification Program certification. They're supposed to email me something by next Friday, like my certificate, as well as a way to connect it to your LinkedIn, which is super cool because you're going to these valuable workshops, and don't get me wrong, knowledge is power, it's great, but having that kind of stamp on a professional profile saying that you've been properly trained in a certain category is really, I don't know, I think it's really cool, really beneficial. They had multiple classes available in each, or workshops you could say, in each category. So there was some that had less. I think the least amount was 6 or 7 workshops that you had to choose from over the span of multiple days. And then the most was 12 workshops that you could go to and just pick 4. And you could obviously go to more than 4, but you just needed to go to 4 in order to get the certification. And the way that they verified that you were at the class was these super cool RFID bracelets. This is how you actually got into the convention. You had to scan in at every access point. So anytime you were able to access the convention, that was also where security was. You had to have your badge on you, as well as this wristband. And it's one of those that they have at Coachella where as soon as you slide it, you can't go backwards. And I took it apart. There's spikes in here. That's how you can't go backwards, because it's catching on the fabric. Anyway, you would scan this to get into the convention, and you would also scan these when you left any workshops. So they normally started scanning at about halfway through, which is normally where the Q&A session was, and I dipped because I get really anxious when people start asking questions, and giving a stranger the power of a microphone makes me nervous. So I would get the heck out of there and I would scan my badge, and then I was able to go check out the expo floor or go to my other workshop early, or just kind of wander around and see what was up. But they would have these people at the doors with iPads, and they would just kind of hover it over your band, and then it would say valid, and then you're good to go, which is super cool because you don't have to worry about keeping track of a piece of paper or getting somebody to sign something. That went super fast. It's automated. It was just really easy. So I absolutely loved the whole RFID bracelet system. For everything that they did was just fantastic. Although these bracelets are absolutely wonderful, getting them was a little bit of a journey for me. Now, it's not that I didn't get them. I got them really easy, and VidCon actually mailed them to me, which was fantastic. They said for creator and I think industry people this year, if you ordered your pass before June 20th, which I think my mom bought me mine in like January as an early birthday present. So since I bought mine early, they were like, hey, we're gonna mail it to you in this wonderful envelope. Wow, isn't that gonna be convenient? But they didn't explain if you had to go to registration or not. And knowing that there would be an RFID bracelet, I wasn't sure if this had to get activated or what, because obviously if it was a previous year and it was just the badge, at my previous years, all you need to do to get into the convention is have a badge on you. On here, the thing that made it the most confusing is there's this fun little section that says VidCon registration hours. So if I'm gonna open this envelope and go, oh, here's my ticket and everything, but why would they tell me when registration is if I don't have to go? So here comes my birthday. I go to Anaheim, I go to the convention center, I paid $18 for parking. Thanks for that, VidCon and the Anaheim Convention Center. Pay $18 for parking just to go in and say, hey, I have my stuff. Do I have to still go through this line? And she was like, no. And so I go to the access point and I scan in, and sure enough, that was the end of that. So I spent $18 on 30 minutes of parking. Love that for me. And the more frustrating part is I emailed VidCon, I tweeted at VidCon multiple times, I Instagram messaged VidCon, and I didn't hear anything until the second day of VidCon saying that no, you don't have to go to registration because we mailed it to you. Ah, VidCon support, please just be better. So I hope they do this again, but I now know, and hopefully you will know if you go to VidCon, that if you get this magical little envelope with all your stuff in it, you don't need to go to registration, don't waste your time. Something awesome about being a creator is that they have these things called creator chats. The creator chat is pretty much like a sit down 1 hour session with you and like 10 to 15 other people and one featured creator. I went to VidCon the very first year that they did the creator chats, which was super cool because I got to do a 1 hour like kind of chat session with me and like 8 other people and Michael from Vsauce. And I don't watch his videos religiously, like he's not one of my #1 creators, but he's somebody who I really love his videos. He's super intelligent in the world of YouTube, as well as he's got like a lot of history and experience with YouTube. So I put him on this survey that they email out with a list of people who are eligible to do creator chats. You can do like less interested, more interested, not interested at all. Like this is my top, and you kind of see what you get. And there's kind of a mishmash of people on there this year. It had like Evelyn of the Internets, Keith Habisberger from the Try It Guys. I don't know who else was on there, but Jarvis Johnson was on there. And I put Jarvis Johnson as my #1, and guess who got to have a 1 hour creator chat with Jarvis Johnson? I did. It was really cool. I think if you are a creator and you have the opportunity to do one of these creator chats, like absolutely put your name down for somebody. There's people who might get this email and go, oh, I don't know anybody on here, so I'm just gonna not put anybody. But I think there is such benefit in talking to one of these people because one, they're a featured creator. They're obviously doing YouTube as some sort of career or a big chunk of their life, and they probably have some sort of insight on it. So it's just a really valuable conversation with somebody who is really deep dived into this, has dove deep. They are really in this industry. My chat with Michael from Vsauce and my chat with Jarvis were very different. Like Michael kind of like started and he like was going, this is how I got started on YouTube and this is that and da 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 da, and like had a lot of things to rattle off. And then at the end was like, I guess it's kind of about me. And obviously if people had questions in between, he was like, yeah, like what do you have questions about? Or like, it wasn't like he was gonna lecture and then have questions, but he just talked a lot. He had stuff already prepared that he wanted to say, I guess. But then Jarvis was kind of like, I don't know what to do. Like, let's just start with questions. And we went into questions, and were there some people who were taking the floor for questions a lot more than others? Yeah, but they had valuable questions. I just felt bad because there's some people who like really tried to butt in to ask a question like myself, and these other people were like pouncing on it. So like, good for them for being tenacious. I think these creator chats are super beneficial, especially because I also happen to know both of the people I've had creator chats with, and I enjoy their content and I gotta get pictures with them and whatever. And Jarvis is such a cool guy. He is much taller than I expected him to be. So that was a little bit of a shocker. He was like, yeah, I'm a 6'1" guy. And I was like, what? I thought you were a short king. So like, absolutely, please, if you have the opportunity, do a creator chat. It's just really worth it. I think even if like I had Keith as like my second highest, and I would have loved to talk to him because obviously he just started a business. He's with the Try Guys. They did a book. They're doing a tour. Like there's so many questions to ask this dude. Maybe, I'm gonna manifest this right now. Maybe in future years, I will be a featured creator to do a creator chat with somebody. So I'm just putting that out into the universe. Who knows? Who knows? Okay, so now that I've kind of talked about like, I kind of like glazed over over a lot of stuff that I did at VidCon because it's kind of hard to like talk about specific workshops without being here for like an hour, but like I had some fantastic workshops that I went to. Like I went to one about analytics with Matt, Pat, and Steph, who run the Game Theory channel, and oh my gosh, they're a wealth of knowledge, and I can now look at my YouTube channel from not only the perspective of what I'm creating content-wise, but like the business side of things. And I think that's something that I learned a lot about, was how to help your channel in more ways than just your content, because obviously I'm constantly trying to improve what I'm making, whether it's better equipment, better content, like being more consistent in when I'm uploading, the lights, the setup, the everything, but also making my content like more readily accessible to people who I would hope would want to see it. And you know, I make videos like that, or tutorials that I would want to help people with, as well as like reviews or stuff like this, or just any of my fun stuff. I make the content because of course I love it, but I want people to see it. And VidCon this year really educated me on the back end of everything, and I think it's like invaluable information. So I think VidCon is fantastic. I loved all the workshops I went to. That analytics one, I swear to God, if that was the only good workshop I went to all of VidCon, it would have been worth it because it was fantastic. But with VidCon, I've gone 4 times now, and not only do I learn a lot of things from the workshops, I've also learned a lot of things as a VidCon attendee. And obviously the convention, I keep wanting to say festival, and it's not a festival, it's a convention. Every time I go, the convention has changed so much from the very first time I went to VidCon to now. It is a completely different animal. With that, I feel like I've learned some things about VidCon, and I wanted to share with you some tips that I have, some tools of the trade about VidCon, so if you plan on going to VidCon in the future, you might be able to get some use out of this stuff. Number 1 tip, because this is a convention about internet things and technology, have a mobile charger. Oh my gosh, if you don't own a mobile charger by now, get on it. These things are fantastic. These are 2 different sizes. They're both by the brand Mophie. I love them. Also, make sure you don't forget the cable to plug into here. But these are great because I brought my iPad with me, which is definitely something I would recommend, is having a writing device or utensil or paper or whatever. I love my iPad. I have an app on it called Notability. I made a note for every different workshop where I was able to take pictures of the screens and then like write on them with my Apple Pencil. So I loved having my iPad with me. Another thing I recommend having is, of course, a water bottle. There are hydration stations, which are like those water bottle fill-up stations inside the convention center, which I don't remember them having a while ago, but now they have them, and that's what's important. And along with being prepared while you're in the convention center, I always recommend bringing a sweater because it's so cold in there, especially in some of those workshops I was in, and maybe there weren't as many people in them, and it's a huge ballroom, and they just blast the AC, but it was really warm outside. So you gotta kind of dress for weather of it being warm, but then having a sweater with you so you don't freeze your butt off while you're sitting in there learning about taxes. When it comes to food, I would definitely recommend bringing like snacks, and that's one thing I didn't do that I regret. So I definitely bring some snacks like a granola bar or goldfish or whatever. It'll help you keep through, like trucking through a whole bunch of workshops in the morning, and then you can go get lunch at some point. You gotta kind of look at your schedule and go, where can I get food at? Which brings me to another thing. Taco Bell and Carl's Jr. are like a 5 to 10 minute walk away. I'm 5'10" and I've got real long legs, so I walk really fast. And when I'm walking like by myself, it took me about 5 minutes from the first closest entry point of the convention to the Carl's Jr. door. And then the Taco Bell is probably about 10 minutes away because it's like on the other side of the street, but it's not too far of a walk. It's way cheaper than all those food trucks and even stuff inside the convention center. My friend who I was with, Shannon, she got like a quesadilla or something, or a burrito for like $12. And I was like, I can't do that. Like I have a really weird relationship with food, and I'd rather starve than pay a lot of money for food. It's really dumb and maybe not the healthiest at times because I don't eat for an entire day, but it's okay. That's not what this is about. This is about going to Taco Bell and going to Carl's Jr., saving yourself a boatload of money, as well as just kind of being able to take a step back and like escape the craziness of the convention and take a little stroll. Go to Carl's Jr., get yourself a hamburger, a cherry Coke, if you will. I brought my reusable straw with me because we're out there trying to save the planet and whoever. And then I also have, like I said, reusable water bottle. That's not what this is about either. This is not about saving the planet, but just do it. Okay, I'm going off track. Another thing, you want to have a bag, of course. Now this year, VidCon was really different about their bag policies. They actually had bag policies, which I don't think they've had in the years past, but you could have a clear backpack, a fanny pack, one of the VidCon drawstring backpacks, or a backpack that was 12 inches by 12 inches. It pretty much had to fit in a 12 by 12 square. This backpack is that size. I found it at Target. It's fantastic. It's got these little clippy things here to prevent from being stolen, and I bought it for myself for my birthday. I love it. I think it's gonna be even my new park bag. It's a great backpack. Please make sure you check your bags and like the requirements on everything, because there was a girl who kept sneaking in a huge backpack. And then on the final day when we were going through security, she was like arguing with the security guard about, well, I've brought it in every single day. And he's like, I'm sorry other people didn't do your jobs. You don't get to just break the rules, which I agree with. Another thing to be aware of is the network is terrible in the convention center for the most part. Sometimes it worked, sometimes it didn't. The Wi-Fi there actually is free and worked pretty well for me for the most of the time, but then sometimes it would just completely dip off. So expect to not have service when you're in workshops. And if you're like networking with people, which is another thing I totally recommend, if you're sitting there waiting for a workshop, introduce yourself to somebody sitting next to you. You could either make a really good friend or you can make a really good like networking tool like of a person in your life, like a resource, and they could find you as a resource. So VidCon is a great place to not only learn but meet people, and that's something that I keep trying to push myself out of my like box with, of like I get nervous sometimes at like conventions or festivals to introduce myself to people, and I'm a pretty like extroverted person, but I still find that I like keep to myself a lot. And so what I was able to do a couple of times is I met some people. Who knows, you could make a lifelong best friend or a future coworker. That was my recap of VidCon 2019, my 4th VidCon, and I guess the last question is, am I going back next year? I hope so. I've gone every other year since I think 2013. I can't remember if my first one was 13 or 14, but then I went in 15, 17, and 19. So I want to try to go more consistently because I learned so much. I leave with just a wealth of knowledge and inspiration and determination, and just it's like fuel to the fire that I have for my YouTube channel. And something that I love about VidCon is, of course, I have support from my friends and my mom about my YouTube channel, and I could not be more grateful for that because in high school, people made fun of me for my YouTube channel, so I made sure nobody knew about it. And now I'm supported by a community of people who really encourage me with this path that I'm taking with YouTube. Going to VidCon and being around like a different energy of people who understand it on the level that you do and are passionate about it on the level that you are is just a whole other thing that I absolutely love going to VidCon for, and it's fantastic. I'm so happy I got to be there for the 10th anniversary, and I hope I get to keep going, and hopefully I'll be there next year. If I'm not a featured creator by then, I mean, knock on wood, let's manifest that. I'm all about, I'm all about manifesting things right now. I'm definitely gonna be a creator, like the creator track is the one for me, but I actually thought about it this year, and I might splurge for industry. There's a lot of different types of workshops that kind of dive a little bit deeper, as well as I think they offer lunch every day, so that's pretty rad. I'm gonna think about it. I'm gonna see, you know, how much money I can save up and get from my Patreon, which leads me to, I have a Patreon, patreon.com/Annelies. I always put my Patreon, like anything I get from YouTube, whether it be AdSense or my Patreon support, to things that can improve the channel, whether it be equipment or education, like VidCon. That was a little shameless plug there, I'm sorry. Maybe I'll be an industry person next year, maybe I'll be a creator, but either way, I hope to be at VidCon. I'm really excited for it, and I hope this video was helpful for you. If you're somebody who wants to go to VidCon in the future and you have any questions for me about my experiences, like leave them down in the comments below. Feel free to message me on any social media. I'll for sure try to help you out with any insight I can give you. If you're new to my channel, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Of course, I have all my social media links in the description down below as always, and like I said, I have a Patreon and I also have a podcast, so feel free to go check those out. Links are in the description. Otherwise, that is it for me. Thank you so much for hearing about my VidCon journey. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Stay beautiful, have a marvelous day, and I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye!